Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Out There with Kim podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all things Central Kentucky, the people, the places, the businesses, the events that make our community so very unique. Today, we're at the Lexington Public Library recording at the Northside Branch in the digital studio. So thank you so much to the Lexington Public Library and everything that you do for us in our community. Now let's get to it. Today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Martina Barksdale. She is the Communications Director at VisitLEX, and she is the founder of SoulFeast Week right here in Lexington. So Martina, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me, Kim. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. You know, it's going to be great to get to know you and find out all about you. So let's get started, Martina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit. Let me go back here. You're the Director of Communications for VisitLEX, and honestly, I think a lot of people might be like me and not quite understand what that means. In my mind, this whole time, I'm like, okay, Director of Communications. That means she has an office here in Lexington, and she tells us all about what's going on, and she makes sure that everyone understands what's going on. And then I was like, I'm combing through your social media, through your Instagram, and I'm like, she is on the road many, many weeks of the year.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about what it means to be the Director of Communications for Lexington.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I first started, I didn't realize how much of my job would be traveling, but, that is part of it. But, for people who don't know what VisitLEX is, we are the tourism department for Lexington, and so we're funded by the hotel transient tax. So when people stay in hotels and Airbnbs, we get a percentage of that. I believe it's 4%. But when it comes to Director of Communications, you did kind of cover what I do as well, but there's so much more than just communicating with the locals about what's going on in our city. A big part of my job is hosting travel writers, and I've just adapted over our influencer marketing as well. And what we do is we host them, we build their itineraries, we take them around. My whole thing is I want to get earned media. So earned media is different than paid media. We're not. Yeah. So those placements that you're seeing Lexington get, we have a whole team, including myself, actively working on that stuff. So I'll, we have our PR company that's based out of New York. I go to different conferences to meet different journalists from international to national, and our whole goal is to get those earned media placements in publications. So I do research on the writer, the journalist. I talk to them, see what they're kind of interested in. So if it's culinary, it could be that. I just got a request today from some international writers are interested in our immigrant and refugees in our cities and how they have built their businesses. Right. So it's like we curate an experience for the travel writer, and hopefully we get placed in and we were in Condé Nast.
That's
top,
right.
Yeah, top 5. So I hosted that writer. I hosted him back in November of 2023. And so a lot of times these placements are not coming out. The quickest I've seen is 2 weeks. The longest I've seen is 2 years.
Whoa.
So, it's based, and that's contingent based on the publication, the editor, what's trending at the time, what we as a city have to offer. So that's the huge part of my job. The other portion.
There's other parts? Oh my
God.
Yes.
The other portion is going to these conferences, going on what we call media missions or desk sides, meeting in person. I'm actually going to New York next week to meet with journalists in person, talk about Lexington, and see if they're interested in coming to the city and build their itinerary and host them. And then we also won a HSMAI award, which is like a hospitality marketing association for our PR stuff. So I'm in on the marketing team. So we're a small but mighty team, but our hands are all on deck for what you see about VisitLEX and the Blue Horse.
That is amazing. I really didn't understand that there was so much that went into that.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of research.
Yes.
You do a lot of traveling, and you are the hostess with the mostest here when people come to Lexington. So ultimately what you're doing is you're promoting our city all over. It sounds like the world.
Absolutely. I mean, we landed in New York Times. I pitched that story to Portia Wilson about Jim Coleman, who owns Coleman Crest Farm, and he, his great grandfather was the 13th president of Liberia, and then he is a descendant of enslaved people from the Henry Clay Ashland estate. So, part of my story, part of my job is to find these stories that people need to know about in the untold and the new, and also relay it back to the experience that you can get here in Lexington.
It's about history.
Yes.
It's about history, too, and learning and understanding our history and promoting our history so that people know what's going on. There's a lot of history here. And that farmer, I believe, y'all, I was one of the co-hosts on Let's Talk Kentucky, and I believe you were one of our guests one time. And that farmer was on our show, and it was amazing getting to learn about the incredible history of him and what he does and the farm and what he's trying to do in the future to bring that agricultural awareness to Lexington and to everyone.
Yeah, agriculture is such a huge part of our state, and we always intertwine it in our storytelling and when we're pitching Lexington as a destination. Lexington, and we promote the bluegrass region, and we also work with the Kentucky Department of Tourism to promote the state.
That's right.
And so Kentucky as a whole is this whole ecosystem of people. So we were talking about Jim Coleman being a farmer, but they also work with Black Soil, which helps source that produce that you could actually get some of his okra at Dudley's downtown. So it's like there's this whole thing happening, and I'm just honored to be able to share those stories and get that national and international recognition for the people that deserve it in this state.
I got to go off on a tangent here, okay? You do so many things that require so many different skills, and it's incredible how you have brought all of those things to the table. Now, you have had about a billion different jobs like I have. Like me, you've been an actor, you've been on TV, you've been a host, I think you've reported some. So and people in the media have to learn to write. You have to be able to do that. So, Martina, tell me a little. You've been a movie actor too, haven't you?
Yeah. I actually went to school and studied acting in production and film and television at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. So I started in all of this through acting and production. That's definitely my first love, something I'm still passionately doing and pursuing. And so I've been in some. My resume is decent. I've been in some television shows. I've been in a movie. Actually, one of my movies is already on Amazon Prime. It's called Beyond the Silence. So if you want to go watch it, that movie actually won. Even though I shot it in New York, it's been in a lot of film festivals, gotten a lot of accolades, and we actually won the 2018 Louisville International Film Festival. And from that, we were able to be shown at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival in France. So,
no big deal. No big deal. Not at all.
So a lot of people don't know much about my acting stuff, but I still pursue it. I'm still actively auditioning. I have 3 auditions I have to submit today. But and then we're shooting a short film here right in the 1st District. And we just launched VisitLEX as part of VisitLEX, a concierge, almost like a concierge service, a film hub for productions that want to shoot in the bluegrass region. Lisa Bren, who is spearheading that, she helps connect all these productions from LA to New York to right in this region in our backyard to our Kentucky film incentives, our production houses, locations, and things like that. So be on the lookout. Kentucky is really. We've been featured in Deadline, Business Insider, IndieWire about all the great film incentives and things that are going on here in this state.
There's so much that all of Kentucky has to offer to the film industry. We have some of the most beautiful scenery and buildings and things and people and everything right here in Lexington. And so it's a really great place to make films.
Yes.
And I think that people are catching on to that finally. But Martina, I had no idea what you had studied when you were younger. And I feel like that really that applies to almost everything that you do, honestly.
Absolutely. I think me doing that and studying and starting in the media industry, as you know, like being freelance and based off gigs, I also had to, serve and be an event host and work in hospitality, which lends itself to what we're hospitality workers at the end of the day. Yeah. We serve other people. So that has helped. And then I took hosting as an elective.
Oh, cool.
And so I studied that. And then people were like, oh, you're actually really good. I did like a little series for my webisodes class that we had while I was in school. And they were like, you should actually pursue this as well. And I was fortunate enough to apply to certain positions. I got into the NBC hosting workshop in 2016, and then it kind of like took off as far as like my hosting and media experience, all the while knowing that I have an entrepreneur bug and wanting to give back. And, I don't necessarily always consider myself an activist, but I've definitely worked in that world and contribute to the community in my own way. And so I've had all these different experiences and all these different jobs I utilize all those skills in the 9 to 5 that I have now and all the other entrepreneur work that I'm doing.
I majored in theater here at UK, and I need to graduate someday. Maybe that would be nice.
Same here.
All right. I knew we had a few things in common. It's I don't think a lot of people think that when you major in theater or you major in acting or you major in film and television, that is the end-all, be-all goal. And it's not, because I really believe that those skills do you're proof of it.
Yeah.
That I'm proof of it, that they translate into all areas of life, because it's that ability to be able to communicate and to listen and understand and process all that and do it on the fly.
Absolutely. It's being able to live in the moment. And I studied Meisner, so living truthfully under imaginary circumstances is definitely what I view in the acting world. But it's given me so many different skill sets, so many different connections. And, it's not just about being talent, right? It's about, I love to produce. I love to write. I love to be this connector and help people build in order for a common goal. And we're all creatives, whether you like to admit it or not, because we're all working towards something.
Exactly.
And that experience has helped me do that.
And I think those skills, like you talk about, we've all, in doing these performance things, had to have a bunch of different jobs. And I think it really trains us to be able to multitask, to be able to do all these things together and to see a product come together as one.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And, well, Martina, I had no idea that your job was so involved in all the things it entails and how much of your theater and film background you've used for that.
Yes.
And I think that gives us a good segue into our next topic about something that is a multitasking event. You are the founder of SoulFeast Week here in Lexington.
Yes.
Tell us all a little bit about SoulFeast.
Yeah, so SoulFeast Week is a 10-day celebration of Black culinary and agriculture here in Central Kentucky. We do, over the 10 days, we start with different events. We have our annual Juneteenth Free Festival, Family Fun. We have farm-to-table events. We do everything from gospel brunches to cocktails and cigars. And the thing about, and then we go into our Black Restaurant Week, where our participating restaurants have a $12 off-menu entree with at least one ingredient sourced directly from a Black farmer through Black soil. So everything, it's a requirement for people to participate during the week to source at least one ingredient from Black soil, because we want to support the great agriculture in our state.
Right. It's not just about the restaurants and the restaurateurs. It's about how we get our food.
Right. Absolutely. And we partner with different, different spirit companies and beverage companies. And we, to date, just SoulFeast as the organization has paid out over $200,000 to Black and brown-owned businesses since we started. We're going into year 5. And that's just us. That's not even the money that these businesses are making during the week or the money that people are spending in the economic impact of having people travel into Lexington. And VisitLEX was a huge supporter of a SoulFeast before I even started at VisitLEX. My twin brother and I co-founded this because we saw a need and we wanted to do it in a fun way and bring people from all backgrounds together in order to fellowship. And nothing does that better than food, culture, and music and libations. So, so we were able to do that. And we really credit SoulFeast to really platforming us because you learn so much as an entrepreneur and so many different skill sets into where we are now in our jobs today.
That's it's a really huge event.
Yes.
And I don't know how you put it all together.
I don't know either, Kim. I'm like, I try not to stress about it, but that's another small but mighty team as we're really growing.
You are growing.
Yeah, as we're really growing. So we've been featured. That's one of the things that I'm able to pitch, and I'm always thrilled when writers are interested in SoulFeast and what's happening. So we're featured in Southern Living and Bloomberg's top 20 25 places to go, and that's like a win for Lexington. But also on a SoulFeast side, it warms my heart because I pitched so much to them, and for them to pick SoulFeast as one of the things that they wanted to feature, really was like, okay, we have something here.
Yeah, the event does so much for our state. I really think it brings awareness. It helps with our culture. It helps us to understand. It's a spotlight, really. Like you say, this is attracting a lot of people from all over now.
Absolutely.
Because I honestly, I don't know other cities so well. I had never heard of an event like yours before that brought together so much from so many different facets of business and culture. You know, it's...
Yeah, I don't know if anything like this technically exists with the whole agriculture. And you have restaurant weeks, which I believe that there are plenty of places that do restaurant weeks, but to have the events attached. And we also have the Proud to Pay system. So it's essentially paying what you can, but if you want to give a little extra, you can give a little extra. So we'll be going in our third year doing that. Because, I mean, like, $75 to $100 event, and trying to do it for 3 to 4 days straight, that is, I mean, we understand the implications of and the impact of, inflation and what is unfortunately happening in this country. And so, but we still want to make it accessible to so many. So some people paid triple times the value of the ticket, and then some people pay, I think our cheapest ticket last year was like $10. Like, that was the threshold. You have to at least give $10, but some people gave $100, and we've actually seen a significant revenue increase by doing a Proud to Pay because those who can will.
See, that's the thing. A lot of people don't think that doing something like that could actually bring in money, but I can see how it would bring in more because those who can do. And that's something that I wanted to talk about too. This event is really for everyone. So there really is a way to get into all of these events. Some of them are family events. Some of them are very fancy events. And some of them are a little bit more, casual, like me.
Yeah. I think there's a place for everyone. And one of the things that I've enjoyed seeing with SoulFeast is how it has brought so many people together. And yes, we want to focus on the impact of Black farmers and Black restaurateurs because they've been marginalized for so long. And
100%.
Definitely a lot of barriers that we didn't create or the people that are coming necessarily created. But like our responsibility is to break down some of those barriers. And if for 10 days out of the year they get a little extra spotlight, I think that's fine.
It's more than fine.
Yes,
it's important
it's
and
important.
essential.
Yes. And then, but so many people from all backgrounds, all different colors, all different places. We are always shocked every year the amount of people traveling into Lexington, haven't even been to Kentucky for the first time, that until SoulFeast or just heard about us or saw us somewhere are coming in. And I'm actually shocked. The most people I see at SoulFeast, if they're from Lexington, they're transplants. And then some more people that are just come in and people that I'm born and raised in Lexington. I would hope that more people that are here would support it, but it's a regional draw, and that has been the goal.
I love that so much. Could you tell us the dates?
Yes. So the dates this year are June 19th through the 29th. We're kicking off on Juneteenth. So that 19th through the 22nd are going to be the events. So if you're listening and you want to travel into Lexington, that's the weekend that you want to come. And then we kick off our restaurant week on the 23rd, that Monday, and that goes from the 23rd to the 29th. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner during that week, I want you to be supporting a Black-owned restaurant. And then at SoulFeastWeek.com all year long, we have a food and beverage directory where we have our brick and mortar Black-owned restaurants, but also catering service, beverage services, wineries, farms.
Okay, you cover it all.
Yeah, so the food and beverage directory is pretty much anything that has to do with food and beverage. So it might not just be a restaurant that's on the directory. It could be Silver Springs Equine and Vineyard, and they have their sparkling wine. It could be fresh bourbon. It could be Black Soil. It could be a caterer that, if you're ever looking for catering services or bar services, that's going to be on our directory all year long.
I love that because sometimes it can be a little confusing to try to remember everything all the time, and to have that in one spot to understand and be able to have that as a resource, just your immediate go-to.
Right, absolutely.
Communication.
Yeah. Trying to make it easier.
There you go.
We just updated the directory, so we do have an application on there. If we're missing anybody, if you want to see certain people on there and they're not. I mean, we are a small team of essentially 2, maybe 4 during our busy season. But yeah, we try to update it as much as possible.
Fantastic. And can people volunteer?
Yes. We will have volunteer information coming out in the next couple months. But we're always looking for volunteers. And last year, I think we had almost too many volunteers. Didn't know what to do with everyone.
Right.
But I, we don't mind that at all. We just want you to come out and support and bring your family and friends.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yes.
And you probably see me banging on your door this year to try to volunteer and get in on the action. Well, you've given us a great overview of what you do professionally. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about you, because that's part of what we want to do here.
Absolutely.
So we talked about traveling a lot. And how many weeks a year do you think you're out of town?
Once February hits, which is now, I'm probably out of town. I don't know collectively, but I typically travel every 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm traveling about once a month. I would say on average once a month for work.
That means you're living out of a suitcase at least once a month.
Yes, at least once a month I'm going somewhere. And then also I have to have time for leisure travel too. And one of the great things about having lived in different places, I have friends all over. So I try to support, and my family's so large, I try to support and make sure I build in that personal time too. But yeah, I'm traveling about between February and August. I'm traveling about probably once a month, maybe twice in just with leisure and work.
Gosh, that's a lot though.
Yes.
I mean, you're able to pack a little bit of that leisure time in there, but it's got to be different. Obviously, so many of us just have an everyday life where we're not traveling and everything is very regimented, or maybe not regimented, but it's
routine.
Routine,
Yes,
that's the word I'm looking for,
yeah.
routine. So how do you stay on top of those kinds of things when you're traveling? Because when I worked for video production, I traveled a lot too, and it was really, really hard. And I always had a really hard time finding that balance, being able to do my regular things. Like I'd forget to take my medicine, because I'm all confused. How do you do it? Is it possible?
I'm still figuring it out, Kim. If I'm being completely honest, I've kind of, I know I have to, what I need to do while I can do it. And honestly, my phone is my saving grace in my calendar, because if it's not in my calendar, I probably won't be there. And that's why I'm send me a calendar invite. When people message me on Instagram or text me, I'm like, this is great, but I need a calendar invite so I don't, or I'll just be like, I'm putting this in my calendar now. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes things suffer a little bit when I'm in my season of being able to be at home like I am in the wintertime. I, try to focus on working out. I try to get to a routine of meal prepping and things like that, because I still want to be healthy. But then I also have to just give myself grace, because we can't do it all. So if I have to get a meal in the airport at Dunkin' Donuts, it's okay, I might not want to eat that, but it's okay, this is what I can do now.
It is food.
It's food. And, I try to have a balanced life, but I just feel like that's not possible. I think instead of trying to do everything and get a routine, a good friend of mine had talked about getting in a rhythm. A rhythm is a little bit different than routine. It's just okay, does my body need rest? It's okay. And not making myself feel guilty about sleeping an extra hour or 2, or actually putting on my calendar, hey, I can't fill this up with meetings today. I have a 2-hour block so I could just sit down and be in front of my computer, because so much of my job is not in front of my computer, but I need to be in front of my computer. So just really trying to block out time and scheduling things, and really making sure I create time for things that I want to do, even though I'm busy, right? As long as I'm doing things I want to do, we're shooting a short film, that's a passion project of mine. So yes, I am tired and I'm ready to be done with shooting, but it's okay, that kind of scratches that itch of wanting to do things I enjoy. And not that I don't like my job, but nobody dreams of labor.
Right. So. I like that idea, though, giving yourself some grace. You might not be able to have the routine, but to get into a rhythm and to not beat yourself up about not being perfect every time. But also, I really like that you schedule time that you need to make sure that you're listening to your body. I think that's a key right there. Listen to your body.
Yeah, because I think so many times, your body's going to sit you down if you don't.
Exactly.
And I've unfortunately been in that where, I was hospitalized for 3 weeks because of that. That's the reason why I moved from New York to Lexington. I was in New York for 7 years and on the grind, hustling. I'm trying to build up everything and I'm accomplishing a lot, but it's just my body said, No, I ended up getting seizures and being in the hospital for 3 weeks. And you know, I thought my life was over.
Yeah.
Like, so I always say moving back to Lexington was the best decision that I never made. And, but, you know, I thought, it's like, I never thought I would move back to Kentucky, but I've received so many opportunities and gotten to build up so much of my dreams and things that I've always wanted to do and things that I was doing there, but like definitely on a different scale. And I'm still having a national impact, but just in my own backyard. And I would have never thought that was possible. But through the vehicle of SoulFeast and VisitLEX and the love and support of the community, I'm able to, I'm speaking at a event in Atlanta next month. Like, you know, like things that I always wanted, I never thought I would be able to get there through Kentucky.
Right.
But Kentucky is so connected. And if people knew how much of an impact this state has had on so much of outside the state, I think they would be a lot more appreciative about where the place we call home.
You just got me all emotional here. I'm about to cry right now. But
no.
that's a beautiful story about learning to take care of yourself and coming home and finding the resources here and discovering a new love.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, we're getting ready to run out of a little time here, but there's something that I got to talk to you about. Okay,
Yeah,
I got to talk.
Go ahead.
I learned that one time you drove 3 hours to go to a hair appointment.
Yes.
I can understand that. My hairdresser, she comes in from Michigan now, and people drive all over. But what prompted you to drive 3 hours to get your hair done?
So I was on TikTok, of course, and I saw this stylist, and she was doing this technique with hair that I'm like, I hadn't seen before, but it was going to be healthier for my hair, less tension on my edges, easier maintenance. And for me, it's like, 3 hours is kind of nothing. I was like, oh.
You're a traveler.
Yeah,
You're
it's like, it's Columbus. I go to see my family. We would go to Indianapolis. My twin brother lives up there and come back that same day, just go watch a basketball game. So I saw her, and then I asked my stylist if she's able to do that technique. No one could do that technique here. So I was like, okay, she's affordable. She's open. And I went to her, and now we're like good friends.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you're still doing that trek.
Yeah. Every like 3 months. Yeah.
So
I've only done it twice.
Y'all, there is something about finding the right person for your hair. You hang on to that person. You don't let them go. It doesn't matter where they are. You figure it out.
Right. And it's a good excuse to like go to Columbus and kind of see that city. They have a lot of cool things happening there.
You're a dedicated person.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, Martina, now we're going to do the thing that's called 10 things. I like to do this with the podcast with all of my guests. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. This is not rapid fire. This is not like, don't no pressure here. But just want to get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So, number 1, tell us your favorite book.
So my favorite book is called Believing Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels. And she also has like a self-help book for that. And, I'm really big in my faith and just my journey and understanding like things do happen for a reason. But it's a really, really great book about overcoming and having a setback as a setup for, God to do something extraordinary in your life. And I really love books that are self-help and inspire and help grow. And so that's been, my twin brother actually got me that when I had to move back to Lexington for the first time in 2018, because I did leave again in 2020 and came back. But for the first time. And it really changed my life and it helped me romanticize my life.
There you go. I like
look
that.
at the struggles as just part of it.
I love that. I'm going to have to check that series out too. So this brings me to my next question. Do you like a physical book or an audio book?
So I am audio. I know people like, there are certain books I want to fill the pages. And there's something about having a fresh, crisp hardback in your hand. But for my schedule, I love listening to audio books or podcasts in the morning. So I prefer, because I'm able to do things while I'm listening to it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people I know are like that because they can just fit an audiobook in whenever they have a little bit of time and they can be doing something else.
Yes.
I, on the other hand, can't do an audiobook because my mind wanders. Every single time I'm like planning out the next meal that I'm going to eat. And I'm like, come on, Kim. So everyone's a little different, but audiobooks are so convenient. And I just said audiobooks. Okay, that's a really old term. No, wait, it's books on tape. That's the one. Books on tape. Do people say that anymore? I don't think they do.
Audio, just audio.
Okay, good. I'm going to be modern here. So next up, do you have a favorite movie?
My favorite movie? Oh, my goodness. I have a lot of I have
That's
a
not
lot
fair. A movie that you really like.
a movie that I really enjoy. I like movies that are like that are funny and a little bit of rom-com. Like that. I'm going to do a movie that I can watch over and over again. It's not necessarily my favorite, but it's like one of my favorites that just I really like. I like Think Like a Man.
I don't know that movie.
Yes. It's with like Taraji P. Henson and Kevin Hart and Regina Hall.
I remember the ads for that.
Yes. I like the first one. It's my favorite. It's based off of Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Man. But it's just a fun, romantic comedy that I could just watch all the time.
I love a movie like that because you can get your mind off some things, just have some good fun and entertainment, and just escape.
Yes,
That's the key right there.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, I have to ask this question now. This is a tough one. Burgers or pizza?
Burgers, for sure.
Nice. You're the first one, I think, to say burgers.
Yeah, I get, like, pizza's the easy go-to, but, like, if I really want something savory, if I had to choose between pizza or burger, I'm going with pizza. I'm going with burger.
I like your thinking, though, because now I'm thinking about burgers, and we're getting close to lunchtime.
I'm getting a little hungry.
Getting a little hungry now. Okay, it might be a burger today. Next up, number 5, gold or silver?
Gold. I'm a huge fan of gold.
You're wearing gold earrings now. You look good in gold, too.
Thank you. I think I look better in gold, so that's probably like it. I have gold in my house, gold accents. I've always loved gold since I was a little kid. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Next up, number 6, for vacation, beach, mountains, or new city?
Vacation, I'm going to go with a new city because I don't really necessarily always care if it's warm or cold. I just like new experiences. So I'll say new city.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So that leads me to my next question, number 7. What is your favorite city outside of Lexington?
Outside of Lexington. Because Lexington truly is my favorite city. I'm not even joking. People ask me, they're saying that. I was like, no, I genuinely love Lexington. My favorite city outside of Lexington domestically would have to be... I think it might just have to be New York. I live there.
Yeah.
It's part of who I am. I have a love-hate relationship with New York.
Most New Yorkers do,
I
think.
I have a love-hate relationship, but something about that city, has my heart.
That's right. Well, you went to school there too.
I've built my whole majority of my adulthood was spent there.
There you go. Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Yes,
beautiful city. Okay, next up, number 8. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I don't like to say this out loud because I know people love cats, and I have friends that are like super cat lovers. I do not like cats. I'm a little allergic to them, and then I'm also a little cat phobic. Like I'm a little afraid of them.
Weird.
Yeah. So dogs all the way.
I love it. I like both. Unfortunately, we've got 4 cats in my house because they kept wandering in from the backyard. We got one of those, we live in a cat colony area.
Yes.
They just kept coming in the backyard. My husband's like, can we have this one? No, we have another cat now. How do we have 4 cats? Well, it's nuts. We do want a dog, though. My husband has said, I'm at the right age. I deserve a dog. So that's killing me right now. So
you gotta get a dog. You just gotta make the animal family all come together.
That's gonna be 5 animals. That's like what? 4 adult legs.
Yes.
And then what's 5 times 4? 20. That's too many.
That's too many legs.
Too many legs in a house. Too many legs. Okay. Next up, number 9. Tea or coffee?
I would have said tea probably a couple years ago, but I'm getting more and more into coffee. I'm like, now I understand all the caffeine hype. I try to wean myself off, but something about having like that fresh cup of coffee or espresso, like I'm like activated. I can conquer my day.
Something quality.
And I didn't want to rely on coffee, but
it is what it is. Yes. They're saying that it's actually not that bad for us and that it's got some health benefits, so we're sticking with those health benefits, okay? We're going to ignore all the other stuff.
All the good PR about coffee, I'm here for.
We're there. We're there for it. Okay, our last question, and this is a tricky one because people can be a little bit of both sometimes, but do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Extrovert all the way.
Like
there's not, I have my social meter definitely runs out and I have to go reset it, but I'm an extrovert 100%.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think that's something that people don't understand about extroverts is that you all need time alone. As my extroverted friend said, she's like, I don't want to be around people all the time.
Right. It is exhausting having to always be on. I enjoy it and I love seeing people, especially in Lexington. I can't walk anywhere and not like see somebody that I know being born and raised here. But sometimes I'm just like, sometimes I just want to run to the store, get what I need, and get out without having a conversation.
Yeah, but you're such a big figure now that people probably stop you all the time to tell you about this.
Yeah, for some I've prayed about being a connector, and I love that I'm a resource where if I don't have the resource, I'm going to find the resource for you. But sometimes it's like, I just need some time by myself.
Martina Barksdale, you do so much for Lexington, for the people of Lexington, for our economy. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
This was a real pleasure. And I got to admit, you are one of our jewels in Lexington, and I was so nervous to interview you today.
Why? Oh my gosh.
I am sweating over here, but it is just so cool to get to know you and learn a little bit about you. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
No, thank you so much for having me, Kim. This has been amazing, and I love what you're doing with the podcast. And keep going, because I know it's not easy. I know it's a lot. You being essentially like booking the guests, coming up with questions, doing your research. So I know how hard that this is. And so I love anyone that has had a vision and you're executing it and you're doing it well.
Gosh, Martina, thank you so much. That means a lot to me coming from you. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I get to meet so many cool people.
Yes.
So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. We went a little long today, but that's okay because we're having fun. I'd like to once again give a shout out to the Lexington Public Library for all of their support here at the Northside branch. You've got to check them out here when you get a chance. That website is lexpublib.org, and you can find all of the wonderful branches here and all of the things that they do. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Dynamics Productions and Neil Kesterson, who give us great production support and take care of our editing and make us both sound so good. Thank you so much to Neil and to Dynamics Audio. You can find them on the web at dxaudio.com. And with that, you got to check me out here. I'm on YouTube. Look for me at Out There with Kim. Check me out on social media. I am no, I'm not. I don't know where I am. I am at Kim Dixon Media on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook at Kim Dixon Media. If you have any questions that you want to ask, or you want to leave me a message of some kind, or maybe recommend a guest, give me a call on my voicemail and text line. That is 859-444-4524. That line never gets answered because honestly, I don't hear it ring. But please leave me a voicemail, send me a message. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.